Two half-brothers bound by one mother's love, one brilliant Nigerian woman, secrets hidden in concrete and steel. A family empire built on lies, until shocking revelations prove she's been playing a deeper game all along. Sit tight, because this story will take you on an unforgettable ride of deception, danger, and the ultimate cost of silence. Amara was born into wealth in Lagos. Her father, Chief Okafor, had transformed their family's oil fortune into a real estate empire. But Amara wanted to prove herself. That was why she came to Korea. Not for love, but for justice. She'd been selected as lead architect for the Park Group's flagship hotel in Seoul. But Korea wasn't welcoming. People stared. Some were fascinated by her dark skin and accented Korean. Others whispered. Amara ignored them. She had been raised strong. Then came the night that changed everything. At an investors' gala, she met Jae-won and Tae-hyun, half-brothers from the powerful Park family. Jae-won, the elder, was methodical and ran operations. His father had been Mrs. Park's first husband, an architect who died when Jae-won was 10. Tae-hyun, 6 years younger, was creative and handled design. His father was Mrs. Park's second husband who divorced her when Tae-hyun was 12. Despite different fathers, the brothers were inseparable. Mrs. Park had raised them to be loyal above all else. But tension was building. Jae-won felt the weight of legacy. Tae-hyun felt trapped in his shadow. Both brothers wanted her. Jae-won was drawn to her intelligence, someone who challenged him, pushed back, treated him as an equal. Tae-hyun was fascinated by her passion, how she spoke about architecture like art. For once, he wanted to win something that mattered. Their family didn't approve. Old Korean wealth, deeply traditional. Mrs. Park was especially conflicted. Amara didn't understand their culture, but her sons were happier than they'd been in years. Amara had her own agenda. She focused on work, earned their trust. But the more time she spent with them, the more she discovered. The Park Group had been cutting corners, bribing inspectors. 3 years ago, their Busan apartment complex collapsed during construction. 15 workers died. It was covered up. Then Amara made her move. She had her associate leak that her father was one of West Africa's most powerful developers, with connections across 3 continents. Suddenly, everything changed. Mrs. Park saw opportunity. A marriage would open African markets. But Amara knew they only accepted her for what she could bring. Now she had a choice. Jae-won, who ran everything by the book but might hide the darkest secrets, or Tae-hyun, passionate but willingly blind to his family's crimes. The tension between brothers was growing, and Amara was right in the middle. Amara stood on the Gangnam construction site, staring at the foundation. The setting sun cast long shadows. Her heart was heavy. Both brothers had confessed their feelings, but she couldn't ignore what she'd found in the structural reports. Shortcuts. Cost-cutting that would make this building collapse within 5 years. A voice interrupted. You look troubled, Amara SSI. Tae-hyun walked toward her, concern in his eyes. I can tell. We grew up with the same mother. I know how to read people. Before she could respond, another voice cut through. We should discuss the timeline changes. Jae-won stood near the site trailer, professional but intense. Amara grabbed her bag and left, leaving both brothers behind. The next days were chaotic. The Park family treated her like royalty after learning about her father. Even Mrs. Park, who'd suggested her sons date nice Korean girls, now hosted tea ceremonies in her honor. But Amara wasn't fooled. Jae-won remained distant, as if her father's wealth complicated something. Tae-hyun became aggressive, fighting for her trust against his own brother. One evening, he found her in the design studio. Tell me, Amara, do you trust him? Tae-hyun, not now. Do you trust Jae-won? Her silence spoke volumes. So you'll choose him. The responsible firstborn. His voice dropped. Amara, my brother knows everything that happens in this company. If there's something wrong with this project, he already knows. Her blood ran cold. Jae-won found her that night in his office, digging through files. She didn't hide it. The Busan collapse, she said quietly. Tell me what happened. Jae-won's jaw tightened. Structural failure. Faulty materials. Our contractor cut corners. And your family covered it up. My mother did. She just survived a second divorce. The company was all she had left. I found out 2 years later. Settlement paid, records sealed. Why didn't you come forward? Because it would destroy everything. Not just the company. My mother had sacrificed 2 marriages, her health, her reputation. If I exposed Busan, she'd lose it all. 3,000 employees would lose their jobs. So you chose silence. I chose my mother. I chose survival. He looked at her. But every project since I've personally overseen. Every inspection, every material. I won't let it happen again. That's not enough. I know. His voice barely a whisper. But it's all I can do without destroying the woman who gave me everything. For the first time, Amara saw crushing guilt in his eyes. Maybe Jae-won wasn't the villain. Maybe he was just a son trapped between duty and truth. But the truth wasn't done with him yet. Days later, Mrs. Park invited Amara to their Pyeongchang estate, a private family celebration. An evaluation. She wore an elegant navy hanbok. When she arrived at the traditional hanok, all eyes turned to her. Jae-won was by her side, steady and protective. Tae-hyun arrived late, sat far away. At dinner, Mrs. Park smiled warmly. Amara SSI, do you see yourself living in Korea permanently? A test. I see myself wherever I can build something meaningful. My grandmother always said roots can grow in any soil if the foundation is strong. Uncle Park cleared his throat. Talent is not enough in our family. Understanding our way of life matters. Loyalty to family above all else. Suddenly, loud commotion from the entrance. Tae-hyun walked in with a journalist from the Hankyeori. Imianim, Hyung, Tae-hyun said, voice shaking, I see we're celebrating Jae-won Hyung's engagement. The room went silent. Jae-won stood. Tae-hyun, what are you doing? The perfect firstborn gets the perfect woman. Meanwhile, we live with lies. He turned to the journalist. Tell them. The journalist pulled out a tablet. 3 years ago, the Park Group Busan complex collapsed. 15 workers died. The family sealed the records through political connections. Gasps rippled through the room. Tae-hyun, Mrs. Park's voice was barely a whisper, her face pale. Imianim, I'm sorry, but I can't watch us destroy more lives. Jae-won stepped forward, angry and pained. You don't understand what you've done. To our mother. To our family. I thought if I exposed the truth, you'd see I'm different. Tae-hyun turned to Amara, eyes pleading. But you already knew, didn't you? The room stared at her. Yes, Amara said steadily. I found the reports. The cover-up. Everything. Mrs. Park's hand went to her chest. And you said nothing? You came into our home. I was trying to find the right way. A way that would bring justice without destroying innocent lives. Innocent? Tae-hyun laughed bitterly. Where are the innocents? Uncle Park stood, furious. Get them both out. You've dishonored this family. But Jae-won stepped between them. No. Everyone froze. Imianim, Jae-won's voice respectful but firm, Tae-hyun and Amara SSI are right. What happened in Busan was wrong. I've been wrong to stay silent. Mrs. Park's eyes filled with tears. Jae-won, you'll destroy everything I built. Then let it be destroyed. He bowed deeply. I'm sorry, Imianim. But I can't keep choosing family honor over human lives. Tae-hyun stared at his brother, tears streaming. Hyung. You were right, Tae-hyun. I should have done this years ago. The journalist recorded everything. Uncle Park's face turned purple. You're both dead to this family. But Mrs. Park just sat there, silent tears falling. The brothers stood together, choosing truth over tradition. That night, Amara's phone buzzed. Unknown number. You think you won. But you destroyed more than you know. Meet me at the construction site. TH. The night air was cold when she arrived. Tae-hyun stood near the foundation. Did you know this would happen? He didn't turn around. No. I wanted proper authorities. Not the scandal. He faced her, eyes red from crying. Did you know exposing my mother would mean we lose everything? In Korea, family is everything. And we just destroyed ours. I'm sorry. Are you? Hollow laugh. You got justice. The Park Empire in ruins. My mother's life work destroyed. That's not what I wanted. Then what? He stepped closer. You made Jae-won fall for you to access files. You made me fall for you to expose it all. He pulled out a flash drive. The complete structural plans for this hotel. Every shortcut, every compromised material. Why give me this? This building, same contractors, same materials, same corruption. If you don't stop construction, Busan happens again. How many workers? 300. Daily. Her hands shook. Where's Jae-won? Probably trying to stop them himself. They ran. They found Jae-won arguing with the construction supervisor. Pull the permits now. You don't own this company anymore, Park Jae-won SSI. Your uncle transferred everything this morning. Jae-won went white. What? You're trespassing. Amara burst in. We need to shut this down. The foundation is compromised. The supervisor laughed. The permits are valid. Because you bribed the inspectors. Tae-hyun shouted. Then, from above, a groan of metal. A crack. Everyone froze. The 5th floor, Jae-won's face strained. They poured concrete today. Another crack. Louder. Everyone out. Jae-won shouted. Evacuate now. They ran. Amara pulled the fire alarm. Sirens blared. But workers were still on upper floors. Jae-won turned and ran back inside. Hyung no. Tae-hyun screamed, then followed. Amara stood helpless as the building groaned. She dialed 119, screaming for help. Then she saw them helping 2 injured workers, rushing toward the exit. Almost out when a massive crack. The 5th floor collapsed. Jae-won and Tae-hyun pushed the workers forward. Then a support beam gave way. Both brothers disappeared in dust and concrete. The world went silent. Then screaming started. Emergency crews swarmed. Workers dug through rubble. Here. Someone's here. They pulled out Tae-hyun first. Bloody, arm broken, but conscious. Hyung, he gasped. He pushed me, he's under. They dug faster. Found Jae-won trapped under a steel beam, legs pinned. Barely conscious. We need hydraulic equipment. Don't move him. 40 minutes of prayer. 3 languages. Igbo, English, broken Korean. When they finally freed him, he wasn't moving. At Samsung Medical Center, hours passed. Finally, the doctor emerged. He's alive. But extensive leg damage. Multiple surgeries needed. Too early to say if he'll fully recover. Amara's knees gave out. Tae-hyun caught her. They walked into the room together. Jae-won looked pale, surrounded by tubes and monitors. You stupid, heroic Hyung, Tae-hyun whispered. You could have died. Jae-won's eyes fluttered. Tae-hyun, you're okay. You threw me out of the way, you idiot. Weak smile. Then his eyes found Amara's. The workers? Everyone made it, she said through tears. Because of you both. Good. Imianim will be disappointed, but at least we did one thing right. As he drifted unconscious, Tae-hyun gripped his hand. We're still brothers, Hyung. No matter what. The next morning, the collapse made international news. More corruption emerged, not just Park Group, but contractors, inspectors, government officials across Seoul and Busan. What Amara uncovered was systemic. Tae-hyun scrolled news on his phone. They're calling you a hero, Hyung. The chaebol son who exposed his own family and saved workers. Jae-won shook his head. I'm just trying to make up for being a coward. You're not a coward, Amara said. I knew about Busan for 2 years. You were trying to protect Imianim, Tae-hyun interrupted. It just became wrong when more lives were at risk. Amara pulled out a folder. The prosecutor wants your testimonies. Everything. Will it convict? Jae-won asked. Yes. Uncle Park and a dozen others face charges. Your mother might get reduced charges for cooperating. Silence. What about Imianim? Tae-hyun asked. Have you seen her? She came earlier. Sat with Jae-won for an hour. She was crying. Both brothers looked stricken. Did she say anything? She said she was proud. That she raised you to be good men, and you proved her right even when it cost everything. Tae-hyun wiped his eyes. Jae-won turned away, shoulders shaking. What's left of the company? Lawsuits piling up. Busan victims filing new claims. The Park name might not survive in construction. Good, Jae-won said firmly. If it was built on lies and deaths, it deserves to end. So what now? Tae-hyun looked between them. Family business gone. Hyung can't walk. I'm blacklisted, and you accomplished your mission. Where does that leave us? That depends on what you want, Amara said. I want to build something that doesn't collapse, Jae-won said. But I don't know if I can. You can. We can. Both brothers looked at her. You chose truth over comfort. You chose saving lives over legacy. That's courage. Or stupidity, Tae-hyun muttered. Maybe both. Amara smiled through tears. But I think we can work with that. Jae-won took her hand. What are you proposing? Start over. New company. New standards. Build things right, even if it costs more. Prove you can profit without corruption. We have no money. We're disgraced. I do. My father's been looking for Asian investments. With a legitimate business plan. He'd invest in US? Tae-hyun looked skeptical. He'd invest in two men who risked everything to make things right. Besides, my father believes in second chances. It's how he built his empire after the Nigerian Civil War. Silence. Jae-won looked at his brother. Tae-hyun, are you in? Slowly, a real smile emerged. Yeah, Hyun. I'm in. If we're going down, let's go down building something beautiful. Together. We're not going down, Jae-won said. Not when we have each other. 6 months later, Amara stood before a new office in Gangnam. The sign read, Okafor Park Construction, Building with Integrity. Hard 6 months. Jae-won had 4 surgeries, months of therapy. He walked now with a cane. Doctors said he might not need it within a year. Tae-hyun threw himself into the business, designing marketing that emphasized ethics, revolutionary in Korean construction. Mrs. Park, after a suspended sentence, quietly visited once. She watched her son's work, then left with tears. Reconciliation would take time, but it had started. At the grand opening, reporters crowded. How does it feel to rebuild after your family's empire fell? Jae-won leaned on his cane. We didn't destroy anything. We exposed what was rotten. Now we're building something that lasts because it's built on truth. Do you regret going public? In Korean culture, this is very shameful. I regret 15 people died before we found courage, Tae-hyun said. That shame is heavier than cultural shame. They turned to Amara. Some say you caused this scandal. That you don't understand Korean culture. I came to design buildings. I stayed to build something more important, a partnership based on honesty. Every culture values human life over profit. That's not Korean or Nigerian, it's human. As press ended, Tae-hyun pulled them aside. So, he said lightly, we never resolved the love triangle. Amara laughed. Tae-hyun. Hyung, do you love her? Jae-won nodded. Yes. Amara, do you love him? Yes. Good. Tae-hyun smiled sadly. Then I can stop wondering. Tae-hyun, ah. Amara reached for his hand. Part of the family? I know. That's enough. I needed to matter. And this, he gestured around, proves I do. Jae-won put a hand on his shoulder. You've always been my full brother. Not half. Never half. I know that now, Hyung. Genuine grin. Come on, we have investors to meet. Im said she might stop by. No sad faces at our own grand opening. As they walked inside, architect, half-brothers, partners, Amara realized something profound. She'd come seeking justice. Found it at tremendous cost. Yet from brokenness, they'd built something new. Not perfect, but real. The strongest foundations weren't built on blood or money. They were built on integrity, sacrifice, and choosing right over easy. 1 year later, the Okafor Park Company completed its first major project, a memorial community center in Busan, near the collapsed site. At the dedication, victims' families were present. Uncle Park was not invited. Mrs. Park stood quietly in back. Her sons were at the front, standing tall, facing those their family hurt. Jae-won spoke in Korean. Our family's company killed 15 people because we valued profit over safety. No apology brings them back. But we can make sure it never happens again. He unveiled a memorial stone with all 15 names. This center is dedicated to their memory. Every building we construct will hold us to the standard they deserved. Tae-hyun spoke next. My Hyung and I have different fathers, but the same mother. She taught us family means protecting each other. We forgot family also means protecting those who work for us. We won't forget again. When it ended, an older woman approached. One of the victim's mothers. My son died because of your family. Jae-won bowed deeply, full 90-degree apology. I know. I'm so sorry. We failed your son. Tae-hyun bowed beside him. My son was a good man. He deserved better. She paused. But you are trying to be better. In Korea, we say fallen leaves return to their roots. You could have stayed fallen, shamed. Instead, you stood up and chose to honor the dead through action. That counts. She bowed slightly, acknowledgement, before walking away. Do you think it's enough, Hyun? No. It will never be enough. But it's all we can do. Amara linked arms through theirs. Then we keep doing it. For as long as it takes. From the back, Mrs. Park watched her sons. Tears streamed down her face, but she smiled. They'd brought shame to the family name, but honor to her teachings. As they looked at the community center, safe, solid, built with integrity, they saw a promise. The Park Empire had fallen. But from its ruins, something better had grown. Sometimes, justice isn't revenge. It's rebuilding. Not shame avoided, but shame redeemed. If you found this story of redemption, cultural collision, and unexpected love compelling, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more incredible tales of transformation.